Hello, welcome back to Fit Quest for Life Online. This is our talk this week. It's Phase 2, Week 4. This is Joey. We get loads and loads of questions about post-training, what to do, how do you recover, how do you make the most of your games. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to also try to touch a little bit on pre as well, what you should and shouldn't do before training and what you should do after training. So today's talk is about pre and post-training recovery and prep. So, anything to say?
I think people overlook recovery a lot and they don't see the value in it. So we see that exercise is going to get us fit. Exercise, the harder you exercise, the fitter you get, the more weight you lose, the better you become at whatever sport you're playing. But we kind of overlook that when you're not exercising, your body's actually recovering, your body's rebuilding. That's when your body actually gets better, because exercise is very catabolic, which means it's very destructive for the body. You're always stressing the muscles out, you're breaking the muscle, you're breaking the body. When you rest, when you recover, that's when the anabolism happens, and that's when you start rebuilding. That's when you feel strong again.
You grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we talked about it before about metabolism. The more muscle mass you've got, the more you're likely to burn calories at rest. So if you're constantly in a catabolic state, then you're constantly chipping away at your muscles. If you can treat your body correctly after you train, then you can make the most of your anabolic window, your period of growth. So that's so important.
Yeah, and that's what sometimes people refer to as like overtraining, when they're kind of doing so much to their body, the body can't keep up.
Okay, so signs of overtraining?
Fatigue, lack of energy.
Insomnia,
not feeling strong when you're actually training, not being fast, not at your best.
Continual DOMS, delayed onset muscular soreness. Okay, normally kick in from 12 to 72 hours. Not always a good thing. People are like, yeah, I've got DOMS. Yeah, it's the body's growing, it's gone through a period of adaptation in order to change. So in some ways it can be deemed as positive, but also the muscle fibres have been broken in order to grow. So if you've got continual DOMS, that's another sign of overtraining.
Yeah.
I can't think of any others.
I tend to think of overtraining as well sometimes, when mainly related to resistance training. Like say you're doing a chest day, the moment your shoulders start taking over where your chest is so tired, if you carry on in a way, you're overtraining as well. Personally.
So rest is really important. If you're one of these people who's not great at resting and you're doing lots of resistance training, if you hydrate and you do the things we say, this will give you the better opportunity of not becoming injured. Constant injuries actually is another sign of overtraining.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're jumping around slightly, but that's sometimes what happens during talks and discussions. So if we can go back to pre-workout, what you should do beforehand.
Okay, quickly, just before we move on to that, I just want to point out, some people do love training, and that's fine. I'm one of those people. Keep training, do as much training as you want. Recovery is important. If you love training, you want to train every single day, just make sure your recovery is on point. Because if it's on point, then you can continue to do that. You won't overtrain. If you train hard, you need to recover hard. You need to make.
It's telling me off at the moment. This is directed at me. So we talk about my recovery days and my cardio days. So that's fine, okay? So I would then change my food accordingly to suit those days. So what would be hard for one person may not be hard for me. So a rest day for me would be a cardio or a yoga day.
Yeah.
So that's quite important. So it depends on what your volume is like at the moment. If you suddenly never ever trained in your life and then you started training 7 days a week, you are just doing yourself more damage than good. So build up your process slowly, and then when you get to your optimum level, then you can look at things like cardio and things being rest days. But you do need rest days in order to prepare.
And you got to look at these elite athletes. They're training like 6 to 8 hours a day.
But why are they different to us?
Exactly. Why are they?
I'll tell you why they're different, which jars me off a little bit. I might have to get on a soapbox now. Do you know what they do? They train. They get their food put in front of them. I'm married to an ex-professional sportsman. They then sleep. Or Mark used to go to Blockbusters and get the video out. Then he goes back, he trains again, he then eats. They provide his lunch for him. They weigh him before and after training to see what his fluids are like. He then goes back and watches another videos and a little power nap. Then he goes back out and trains again. They feed them again. and then he has a little sleep again. That's why they're different to people who are working.
Living the dream, but look how much relaxation's in there, look how much sleep, recovery, how much eating's happening, how much water, how much constant monitoring of the body.
Yeah. Which we haven't got that. And you know, we're never going to know your true capacity unless you are in a lab or a professional sportsman getting your VO2 max checked and your water's checked and your electrolytes checked. You know, we have to know what we're doing and trust our bodies. And if we're feeling too tired on a day that you're set to train, then don't train because it could be really counterproductive.
Absolutely.
Okay, so pre.
Let's go into some methods, yeah.
Okay, so pre-workout, the main thing for me is hydration.
Yeah, hydration is massive. Also proteins before you work out are really, really important. Just to prevent any muscle breakdown. In the program, we're fueling your workouts from fats, so we're kind of changing your metabolism to be a multifunctional metabolism, so you can train off the energy that fats provide as well as the energy that carbohydrates provide. Okay, fats are a lot better to train from if your goal is weight loss.
And also, just going back to the water thing, because it's a big thing. How do you know whether you're hydrated or not? If you're feeling thirsty, it's too late. It's just too late. It really is. You need to do what I would do. I call it the P test. So before I train, I just have a quick wee. And if there's anything darker than straw coloured, I won't train. So you need to get some water in you. If you gulp your fluids, then you're just going to pee it out. So it's continual sipping, drinking fluids throughout the day, okay? Don't just drink at the gym or at boot camp or on your HIIT sessions. It's a continual process of hydration.
And then lastly, really, for pre-workout is antioxidants. So your vegetables, super greens and super green powders, they're really good because they help prevent oxidation, which is kind of like a free radical. Have we explained what free radicals are?
Yeah.
So yeah, what like a free radical is just eventually it becomes like the death of the cell. So the antioxidants help prevent that. So when you're training, free radicals become created by stress. When you're training, you're putting your body under stress. So antioxidants are just going to help prevent all that as well.
And don't forget there are free radicals everywhere, whether you're training or not. So even if you're not a massive trainer, then getting some super greens in you when you wake up is a great idea. So if you're training first thing in the morning, you get up, you hydrate. Hot lemon, make sure you clean your teeth prior to doing hot lemon because it softens the enamel, and then you wipe it off, and then you are obviously exposed to decay. Then you have protein, what you said, about 60 to 90 minutes prior to training.
Yeah.
Protein, so I train from fat, so mine would look like a higher oil fish, salmon with eggs and greens. Your super greens, I like a black coffee before I train, but obviously that is dehydrating, so be careful with that. Some people do not work well with it at all. You can choose fasted or non-fasted cardio if you're doing cardio. Different sciences is all coming out now. There's not a lot of evidence out there. The things I've read on very small groups that they tested it on, so they say that men respond better to the females. I'm not that convinced about it. I think it's a good thing to get in your life, 45 minutes fasted cardio twice a week. So cardio would be anything where it's not lots of resistance, weight training. So a run, a swim, that sort of thing. Before you get going, you need to do some dynamic stretches. You need to make sure that your muscles are warm. So you couldn't just rock up to a class and just expect your body to do 20 press-ups and 20 burpees. It's got to go through a period of warming up, okay? When you arrive, your heart rate's going to be really low, and then you're suddenly going to do 20 burpees and your heart rate's through the roof. We just want to kind of massage that in. However, there's different evidence on that. You know, if we were out in the wild and we were sat down having a little chat and then we were hunting, we wouldn't do some hamstring stretches before we went and chased after something, would we? So there's different things, but good practice from our point of view would be to get some dynamic stretches in as well. So I think that's probably it on pre.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Pretty much covering it.
Oh, glute activation is another good thing. So,
yeah, so our lifestyles are very sat down at the moment. Like, a lot of people are working behind a computer for a long period of time, or they get home and they sat behind the TV for a long period of time, and it kind of silences your glutes. So you don't have that support. Your glutes are a massive muscle, and if they're silenced, your lower back's going to take over. It's going to start compensating. It's just going to cause so many problems to some people. So just reactivating your glutes and getting used to what it's like to these muscles to be working is so valuable. And it takes a little while for you to change, for you to reprogram the neurological pathways that go to your brain, to your glutes, but you get it when you got it, and you benefit from it massively.
So some good drills would be clams, floor bridges, adductor works a lot on your side, lifting your legs up and down. You need to make sure there's no swinging and that you're really activating your glute. So you can just squeeze it, and then if you squeeze it in and out, you know that that's working or not. But it will take some time to get used to it, but it's a really good process to spend 10 minutes doing glute activation prior to a class.
You can also include it just in your day, just get used to it. Like when you're stood waiting in a queue, squeeze away. Anyway,
Okay.
moving on.
Okay. So you've now trained, you've done your HIIT, you've done your boot camp, you've done your resistance training, you've done your swim, you've done your whatever. What are you going to do? First thing you're going to do is some static stretches. So you're then going to, you've been in contraction for that hour, that 2 hours, that 45 minutes, you're now going to lengthen the muscle because they've been shortened. So you'll do a process of what muscles you've worked on, you will go into a form of static stretching. So there's no bouncing, no movement, it's all very controlled. And again, there's different evidence on that as well.
But it relaxes the body.
And it's good practice.
Yeah.
It's good, you know, you're up there for the high. So to me, when I do a class, you get people up. It's like a pyramid. You go up and then you bring them back down. And then they leave feeling energised and full of endorphins. It is really good practice.
Yeah.
So, another thing to do, if you, especially if you've got any areas of concern or tightness, would be to foam roll. So I have a foam roller. I'm guilty of it gathering dust rather than being used. But it's something that I need to do more of. So it's just, they're not very expensive. Piece of foam, cylinder, and you just roll. And it's called myofascial release. So if you Googled that, then they will give you examples of how to do it in what areas of the body.
You haven't got to do it with the roller. You can get tennis balls, those other things you can use. You can use your hands. I mean, if you know that you've got a tightness in a certain muscle, you can get your fingers in there and just give it a big squeeze of that knot in a way. Just try and release it.
If you're training a lot, guys, as well, it's worth thinking about something that Mark always talks about, my husband, is rehab. You know, it's too late. You want to prehab. So once a month, getting down to a sports therapist and having a rub down is a really good idea. So don't wait until you've got a calf strain or hip flexor problems or hamstrings. You know, once a month, just get it into your routine that you go and see somebody for a decent. They're not nice. They are not nice, but they really do work. Okay, so anabolic window. We've touched on it, and it's in your education notes. I think on phase in this phase. Was it phase? I can't remember, but you've got those notes.
It's phase 1.
So, what does it mean? We talked about going into a catabolic state. So, an anabolic window is your period of growth. So, how do we make the most of our anabolic window, Joey, and how long does it last for?
There's a bit of debate about how long it lasts for, or when's the best time. So we've kept it within a nice range. We're quite flexible with it, and you'll learn. Hopefully, you'll become sensitive to your body, and you'll learn when is best for you to eat it. But usually, anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes after your workout, that's when you want to kind of re-nourish your body, refuel your body from what you've just put it through. Get your protein in, get your veg in, your antioxidants, and refuel with your carbohydrates.
So we talked about higher fats beforehand, and it depends how angry you want to be, but a really good thing to do is after a really hard session is perhaps to go for a lean protein source, not a high fat protein source after training. So whitefish, turkey, chicken, that sort of thing. But that's nothing, you don't have to, it's just an added tip there.
Yeah.
So you've got your carbs, you've got your fluids, you've got your super greens back in, so they're worth doing again afterwards to keep those free radicals at bay. And one of the most important things that costs you nothing, which gets overlooked, is sleep. You need to rest. You really do need to rest in order to grow and to develop. So They do say, I don't know again the science behind it, if you sleep before midnight, it's worth 2 hours. So if you can go to bed at 10, you're going to bag 4 hours before midnight. So try to get yourself a really decent bedtime routine. It could be a nice hot bath with some lavender essential oil in it. Take no electrics upstairs. And make sure your cortisol levels are really, really low before you go to bed. That's where they should be, not stressful after watching the news and 150 people have been killed, or an argument with somebody, or you don't want that. You want your stress levels to be really low before you sleep. And just basically take that opportunity to chill out and rest and go again the next day.
I think our biggest problem is we live in like a working society, so we're constantly working. Even when we're not working, we're working. We have a better capability of creating stress than we do relaxation.
Too accessible, aren't we? Really?
Yeah, massively. But they're both spectrums of the same thing. So if you've got a really stressful life, you need to equal it out with rest, relaxation. Otherwise, it's going to get you. It's going to be imbalanced.
It will catch up. It really will catch up in some shape or form. So
if you're training really hard and you're looking about 8 hours sleep for your body to fully recover, not just physically but mentally as well, for your nervous system to kind of process what's happened and rebuild so that you can continue to do that the next day. Otherwise you're going to be constantly chasing your tail, trying to catch up on recovery, but then also trying to keep your sessions in, and then you can't shoot yourself in the foot a little bit.
Yeah, you're exposed to those elements we said earlier of overtraining. So that costs you nothing, and it will benefit you in every spectrum of your life. So water and sleep are top tips. So that's the end of this talk, and the end of phase 2 for you lovely people. It's been quite hard, I should imagine. You've probably had ups and downs, but you're going to keep going. You're going to keep going for one more week, and then you've got your next phase that should refocus you and regroup you, and hopefully you're seeing those results you deserve. Any questions at all, please feel free to ask away on our Facebook page. Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Bless you.